It's really hard to think of Germany and not think of Berlin. And when my wife and I were planning our trip to Germany, we knew that Berlin had to be one of the stops. And to be quite honest with you, it was the stop that I was looking the least forward to. However, it exceeded all of my expectations. Berlin felt a little rough around the edges maybe, but given its not so distant past, that's completely understandable. One thing that did surprise me about Berlin is that a lot of the buildings just aren't that old. And that's because in World War II, around 80 to 90% of Berlin's buildings were damaged or even flattened. One of the things I absolutely loved about Berlin was how easy it was to get from place to place. Now, don't get me wrong, we did a lot of walking, and it was very easy to walk, but the way we loved to get around was Lime scooters, which was surprising to me, seeing as how my wife had never ridden one before we went on this trip, but it just made getting around so easy, and the roads are set up well for it because most of the times they've got bike lanes. On our first full day in Berlin, we decided to do a bike tour, which was a lot of fun, but also allowed us to see a lot of the highlights of the city, and allowed us to kind of find some things that we wanted to come back and visit on our own when we'd have more time. The QR code on the screen is for the exact tour that we did, which was a lot of fun and we would highly recommend, but just to give you an idea of what kind of options are out there. And like I said, this tour is going to hit a lot of the highlights, so you're going to see things like Brandenburg Gate, Checkpoint Charlie. You'll even visit a small piece of the Berlin Wall that's still standing and kind of get some context around that, which is really cool to see. The tour lasted about 3 hours, but that didn't really feel that long. It felt like a really good amount of time. You'd spend some time, driving from place to place, but once you were there, you'd get off your bike, take some pictures. Your guide would tell you a little bit about the history of this specific spot. It was a really good amount of time. Honestly, it probably could have been a little bit longer, but for what we saw, the time was really good. One of the things we saw during our bike tour that we wanted to come back to was the Berlin Cathedral. And on the bike tour, we got to see the outside of it for a few minutes, and the outside is absolutely beautiful. But we wanted to come back and tour the inside, which is just insanely intricate and just absolutely stunning. While there's been a church in this site since 1451, this specific building has only been here since 1893, and much like all the other buildings in Berlin during World War II, the church did suffer some damage. There was a fire in the dome, and the dome collapsed, and it had to be completely rebuilt, as well as obviously some other things in the church suffered damage once the dome fell through the floor. So we did a self-guided tour with an audio guide, which was really cool. It took you all around the church and would tell you all about the history and that sort of thing. But towards the end, one of the coolest parts was you got to go up to the dome and look around the city, which just gave you really good views of Berlin. And you could see all the major attractions from up there. On the day that we did it, there was some construction going on, so that took away from the view a little bit, but overall it was still absolutely beautiful, and I would highly recommend doing the self-guided tour at Berlin Cathedral just to get these views. Since this was our first stop in Germany, we were introduced to German food here, which was shockingly delicious. I don't know why I was so shocked by that, but it's very hearty, very meat forward. Berlin specifically is known for currywurst, which from everything I read online didn't sound that great, but it ended up being delicious. I was also introduced to a Spanish latte at one of the cafes right by our hotel, which was absolutely delicious and by far my favorite type of latte. There were also some restaurants with some Bavarian influence, which was where you're going to get your schnitzels and all of those sort of things, which were absolutely delicious. So really whatever kind of food you're looking to find, Berlin had great options. So like I said at the beginning of this video, Berlin was the city in Germany that I was feeling more obligated to visit as opposed to more excited to visit, and it completely blew my expectations out of the water. Berlin has a lot of personality, and it's got a lot of things for everyone. Like you can see here, a park that we were walking through. It's got historic sites. It's got good food. So I would highly recommend going to Berlin and not feeling obligated to go, but more excited to go, because it's an absolutely beautiful city, and I cannot wait to go back and visit.